It was a cool, brisk afternoon in my hometown of England. People roamed the streets, buying goods and food for their homes. I worked at the tavern in town with a pal of mine, Clyde. My favorite dish to prepare at the tavern was always the brown sugar glazed boar meat and mashed sweet potatoes. Nice succulent sweet meat with creamy mashed sweet potatoes with cinnamon maple syrup butter. This would be the last time I make this meal in this tavern, as today was my last day before I started my journey to become the greatest chef of all Augustus. And then I will finally be able to cook for the Court of Council. This is it, Clyde. Today is my last day here.
What do you mean, Zud? You're actually going through with this?
I told you I was. I'm going to fulfill my dream.
You are crazy, Zudlow. You will never be able to meet with the Court of Council, let alone cook for them.
You are funny, Clyde, but it's time for me to move on from here. I enjoyed our time together here, but it's time for me to go. You will always be my friend.
What? You're thinking of leaving now? You can't do that. Zudlow, don't go.
I threw down my knife and walked to grab my backpack filled with all my supplies that I needed to travel this world.
Couldn't you have waited until the store closed?
I headed out of town. Tonight starts my adventure, my quest to become the greatest chef of all Augustus, and cook for the Court of Council.
Greetings, adventurer. I am Zudlow, and I am here to show you how to make the boar meat and mashed sweet potatoes. First, we are going to get started with our brown sugar glaze. Alright, so to our pan, I have 1 stick of butter. Next, I'm going to add in 3/4 cup of brown sugar. So 3/4 cup of brown sugar. Then I'm going to add in 1/2 cup of pineapple juice with 1/4 cup of honey. This is going to be a delicious glaze for our nice succulent boar. I'm going to add that in. Going to add in 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, and then just a little pinch of nutmeg. We're going to take this and let this simmer on our fire for about 5 to 7 minutes. So we're going to let this cook and simmer until it becomes nice and delicious and a nice glaze for about 5 to 7 minutes. We're going to cook this on medium heat. Now, for our next recipe, I'm going to add in another stick of butter. This is going to be our maple syrup and cinnamon butter that we're going to put on our sweet mashed potatoes. So, with the butter softened, I'm going to take some maple syrup and I'm going to put it in, about 1/2 cup. Then I'm going to take a ground cinnamon and put our cinnamon in there. Nice and delicious. This is what it looks like. Now, with a fork, I'm going to mash this in and really get the butter, this maple syrup, and the cinnamon nice and incorporated. Then we are going to let it chill to make some nice, delicious butter. Our glaze is done, so now what I'm going to do is let this sit off the heat until we are ready to use.
So now with our butter, I'm going to wrap it. Just like this. Then we are going to chill this. So, let me tell you what we're doing next. I have some sweet potatoes here that I'm just going to peel off the skin and chop them up into nice diced pieces. Let me tell you a little bit about the tavern and my town of Ingollen. It is a small town, I will say, but it is very, very popular, especially the tavern. Everyone loves our delicious food. And this meal that I'm making is so delicious that this is what everyone orders when they come to the tavern. I've been at this tavern for a few years now, and my friend Clyde has been with me as well. It is sad that I have to leave him behind, but I know, and he knows, that this is the best. I am excited to finally cook and learn from all the races of the land. And I am excited to cook for the Court of Council. So we're just going to dice these up just like this. And we are going to boil them until they are nice and tender. So here I have my pot of water, and I'm going to take my potatoes and dump them in here. Then I'm going to put these on the heat and let them cook until they are nice and tender. Tender enough so we can mash them. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our boar meat and put it in our pan. Just like this. Look at that nice succulent boar meat. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our nice delicious glaze, and we're going to just pour this over our boar meat and spread it around. Smells delicious. Just like that. We want it all over. And then we're going to save half of it for when we are ready to glaze it one more time. About halfway through. Just gonna take that. Beautiful. We want to cover this tightly. And we're gonna let this cook for about a half an hour until it is nice and ready to eat. Potatoes now are fork tender. I'm going to let it cook for 1 more minute before I empty out the water before we start mashing them. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rest of our glaze and really put it on there. Well, not the rest, but and just really get it all nice and on our boar meat. Just like that. This is gonna go back on the fire for another 15 minutes. I emptied out the water from the potatoes. Now I'm going to let this cook on the heat to try to get all the water out as best I can before mashing them. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mash these. Mash these as best I can. Okay, so I'm going to keep mashing just like this. I'm going to add in just a little bit of salt, like that. Very good.
Now I'm going to add in a little bit of milk. A sprinkle of cinnamon. And mix this together. Just like that. And then I'm going to add in some of our maple syrup butter, cinnamon butter, and let it melt into the potatoes. I'm going to add just a little bit more. And we're really just going to mix this up and let everything come together. This is a delicious, elegant boar meat. Now we're going to put the dish together. And now here is the final dish. Our delicious, succulent boar meat and sweet maple syrup, cinnamon, sweet potatoes. Let's give this a try. Alright, so here is our dish. Looks and smells delicious. So let's give this a try. Here is our boar meat. Delicious. You could taste the brown sugar. That nice glaze that was put on it was delicious. Incredible. Now our sweet mashed potatoes. You can taste the maple syrup and the cinnamon within the butter. The sweet mashed potatoes themselves. Fluffy, airy deliciousness. Delicious meal. Next time you're in England, stop by the tavern and make sure you get the boar meat and the mashed sweet potatoes. I will see you next time on my adventure. Have a good evening.